Hello, everybody. This is Rational Vids. Happy 420, everyone. I can't smoke weed right now. I'm too poor to even afford a gram. But for the rest of you who are, enjoy your day. Eat, cannabis helps me with, anxiety and, it helps me relax, helps me think more clearly. And I hope it's doing the same thing for you. Or if you just like it to get high, I mean, I don't care. It should be legal anyway. Um, but here is why. So here is an interesting article I was just going to share with y'all for today. Just to keep it a little lighter today from all the political discourse that's been going on. So cannabis sinks amid weed glut. Congress is in action. So industry executives blame Congress's failure to pass any significant cannabis legislation as the biggest reason the sector is flailing. The nation's marijuana industry has boomed during the pandemic. So far, 2022 is looking like a bust. Weed sales hit $27 billion last year, nearly doubling figures from just 2 years earlier. And revenues are projected to double again over the next 6 years. Even pot supporters in Congress seem well positioned to dismantle decades old restrictions. But the still green industry is mired in a financial funk. Stock prices have plummeted, capital raises have crashed, and marijuana prices have slumped. There's a lot of assets just not worth anything. So they're just not going to go. So they're just going to go away," said Morgan Paxia, co-founder of pioneering cannabis investment firm Poseidon Asset Management. "We're seeing defaults picking up. We're seeing businesses shuttering. While new glut of semi-legal weed has helped sink prices, industry executives and investors say the lack of progress on federal marijuana legislation is the single biggest factor driving the sector's economic downturn, and it's unclear when their odds will improve." After Democrats won total control of the federal government in 2021, optimism swept the industry that Congress and the Biden administration would loosen restrictions on the drug and make it easier to run a profitable business. Stocks went frickin' hog wild because everybody thought, holy shit, Democrat White House, Democrat Senate, we'll get legalization. Scott Greiper, president of Viridian Capital Advisors, which tracks the sector, recalled. Greiper pointed out that cannabis companies raised more money in the first quarter of 2021 than at any time in the history of the decade-old industry. But that euphoria proved misguided. In the ensuing 16 months, Democrats in Washington have done nothing to lift federal cannabis restrictions, and the once bright outlook for legislative progress has dimmed. The latest blow: last week's announcement by Senate Democrats that they're delaying the introduction of comprehensive cannabis legalization legislation perhaps until August. So keep in mind that the midterms are coming up. 2022 midterms. You think anybody's going to vote for the Democrats now after all the shit has been happening that they've caused? More imperialism and war, more inflation, gas prices rising, lack of universal health care or any social safety net whatsoever. Biden thought he can fix this with a little bit of a student debt cancellation, although it's not even cancellation. Where's the relief? I don't see relief. Not on the ground here. Who's he canceling it for? And now Biden's opposition to legalizing marijuana out of some personal conviction, and apparently a lot of Republicans' personal convictions as well, and the Democrats' inability to negotiate on anything whatsoever, even to say, "Oh, let's decriminalize it to keep people out of jail." Oh, nope, that's not happening. Not happening. They've done nothing to lift federal cannabis restrictions, and the once bright outlook for legislative progress has dimmed. Amber Littlejohn, executive director of the Minority Cannabis Business Association, says there was a misguided exuberance among cannabis investors who failed to understand how difficult it would be to achieve policy victories in Washington. That really drove a rally on prices and a false sense of optimism about what could be done within this period of time, Littlejohn said. The one glimmer of hope for marijuana businesses is that a measure designed to make it clear make it easier for cannabis companies to access banking services was included in the House version of a China competitiveness package. House and Senate negotiators are poised to try and hash out a compromise between two very different versions of the legislation in the coming weeks. Certainly, there's been a missed opportunity to unleash this industry, and I would direct that criticism at Congress, said Andrew Klein, a cannabis attorney at Perkins Cole. Is it Perkins Cole or Perkins Coit, and the former director of public policy for the National Cannabis Industry Association. People made campaign promises, and we can't even get banking passed. So here's the thing. Democrats are just like Republicans. They're not doing shit. Congress ain't doing shit because Congress is made up of old fucks and capitalists who are so behind the times that they can't even do the capitalist thing anymore, which is to legalize weed and let a bunch of businesses take it over. That's what's really going to happen after legalizing weed. Even after legalizing weed and getting people out of jail, the people who are affected the most by the war on drugs are still not going to. They're still not going to see benefits at the bottom level, because overall, the whole of these big corporations are just going to take it over. Isn't that right? People made campaign promises, and they're not following through on it. Democrats, Kamala Harris, Biden, they're not following through on it. Pelosi, nah, she ain't even interested. Chuck Schumer keeps moving the goalpost. What the fuck is going on with Congress? That they cannot get something that is a bipartisan measure. Majority of Republicans, majority of Democrats support. Congress is just, they're just horrible. Congress, there's no wonder Congress has a insanely low approval rating. Weed glut. Industry experts point to other factors that have exacerbated the economic doldrums. In some states, there's simply too much product, leading to plunging prices. In California, for example, wholesale cannabis prices plummeted by about 50% last year, although they've since started to rise. Which would be a good thing if they've lowered, because it would help the people, not your fucking business and your stupid stocks. God damn it. States like Colorado, Washington, and Oregon are also seeing significant declines. Good. Weed should be accessible and affordable. That's what makes the market good, because there's competition. Oversupply hit the market and it crushed pricing, and that hurts profit margins, Greiper said. Lil Jon points to another factor that has scuttled the industry's growth, the continued vibrancy of illicit markets. She argues that tight rules limiting the number of marijuana businesses, especially on the East Coast, have made it nearly impossible for cannabis sellers to make the transition to legal regulated sales. The tendency for large operators to push for highly limited markets is actually coming back to bite them in the ass, Lil Jon said. You have a legacy market that is flourishing and very limited means to be able to do anything about it. It's because of this hesitation to legalization that's going to hurt society or some shit. It's not. It didn't hurt me. I've been smoking for 5 years. Okay, didn't hurt me one bit. Did not cancel any of my contributions to society. So what the fuck? What is going on here? It's just old fucks and socially conservative boomers that are really like, this is gonna hurt our kids, and it's against family values. Shut the fuck up, guys. And it's not just the Republicans either. It's Democrats like Biden and Joe Manchin and all these corporate fucks in the party who control the party, control discourse within the party, that don't want to do it. Even after Biden made a promise to decriminalize weed, it ain't happening. And now I want to go a little bit forward. The cannabis industry also benefited from a surprising surge in sales during the early waves of COVID-19 as stressed out, hunkered down Americans flush with cash started buying record amounts of weed. People were locked in their apartments, so they ate more Campbell's soup than ever in the history of Campbell's soup, said Jonathan Sandelman, CEO of Air Wellness, a multi-state cannabis company that's seen its stock price tumble by more than half over the year. They drank more alcohol than ever before, and they smoked more marijuana than ever before. So that's why it went. I wish I lived in a legal state. That would have been amazing to have that during the COVID pandemic. And most industry observers remain bullish on the long-term trajectory of the industry. Legalization has spread rapidly across the country, with 37 states now permitting medical sales and 18 states allowing anyone at least 21 years old to possess and consume marijuana legally. Polling consistently shows that roughly 2/3 of Americans support marijuana legalization, and even the most staunchly conservative states are easing restrictions. The bottom line, most investors and industry officials believe it's only a matter of time before the federal government finally catches up to the states and makes it easier for cannabis companies to operate and make money. So, some encouraging stuff. We just the other day we had the MORE Act passed through Congress, or passed through the House, and so the House effectively decriminalized cannabis. It moves to the Senate, and if it doesn't get enough votes in the Senate, then we have to restart again. Schumer's bill waiting until August is stupid. Chuck Schumer he's a grifter. You have to understand. That's what it is. So anyway, there's just some cannabis legalization news for 420. Happy 420, y'all. Smoke up. Get the best food possible. Watch the best shows possible. Light up that bong. Smoke that joint. And eat those edibles. Let's get it.